So it is now spring. And with that, spring air, we all start kind of thinking about like getting back in the rhythm, spring cleaning, maybe even trying different ways to get that summer body. And if that's you, you're probably thinking like, okay, I have tried every diet, I've done everything, and nothing really sticks. But here's the truth. Maybe the answer isn't another diet or a new plan or a new food list, okay? Maybe what your body actually needs is for us to go back to the basics. And so today we're going to do that. I'm going to walk you through what your body is actually made of, how it uses food to create energy, and then how to start fueling it in a way that actually supports you in this season of life called midlife. So this is maybe a little sciencey, but don't worry, it's not going to be like high school biology where you have pop quizzes. And I promise to make it super simple and practical for you. So you may hear the word mitochondria a couple of times, but nothing in a scary way, okay? So I hope that this episode will give you a better understanding, though, of how to support your energy levels, your brain, and your overall health. But these are the small shifts that can make a huge difference in your life. So let's go ahead and get into it. Before we get into what food you're going to eat, I want to say something that I think is really important. I don't believe that there's actually a perfect diet out there, like one size fits all that works for everyone. So I want to say that up front because not keto, not paleo, not whole 30, not plant-based, not Mediterranean. I don't care what you've tried, not even clean eating, as we've been taught is going to be a one size fits all for everyone. And you may ask yourself, like, why is that? Well, because we're all uniquely made. We have different genetics, we have different gut health and microbiomes, we have different histories, different needs depending on the season of life you're in. And so, no, I'm not here to tell you a specific plan and say, here it is, do this, it will work its magic. Okay. That's not what I'm here to do today. But what I am here to do today and talk about and help you understand is how your body actually works. Because no matter how different we all are, there are certain core principles and truths that every human body is made of. And so that's where we're going to start. Okay. So, because I want you to understand those, that's where we can start making changes that actually support us. So, let's go ahead and talk about that. What is your body actually made of? Well, it's made of water. That's obvious, right? Your body is about 60 to 70% water. And every system in your body depends upon it. So, your digestion, your brain, your joints, your skin, everything. Your hydration is actually not optional. So, it needs to be your number one job and full time job in life. Okay. That's why I'm a hydration nerd. I love talking about it, but I'm not going to harp on that today. Your body's also made up of protein, your muscles, your skin, your hair, your nails, the enzymes that your body uses, your hormones, they're all built from protein. And so your body, it can't store it though. And so your body needs a fresh supply on a daily basis. Okay. All right. You're also healthy fats. Your brain is nearly 60% fat. And so your hormones, they're built from this as well. So the right fats are going to help your body absorb nutrients and keep that inflammation down. And so, a lot of us, if you're like me, grew up hearing low fat is important. Well, guess what? A lot of us have grown up now with hormone problems in our midlife. I wonder where that came from. Okay, so fiber, I'm not talking about like heavy carb things. I'm talking about like fruits, vegetables, seeds, grains, those kinds of fiber, right? And so it feeds that good bacteria in your gut. It helps with digestion. It helps with detoxing. It helps with blood sugar regulation. And so many people don't manage to get high enough levels of that. And then micronutrients. This one's not really talked about very much, but these are your vitamins and minerals that are tiny but super essential. So they're the spark plugs in your energy and mood and sleep and metabolism. So without those systems don't actually work very well. And then your body's made up of microbiome. It's actually crazy to think. I read a book many years ago called 10% Human, and it talks about this. Your body is actually more bacteria than it is human. And so there's trillions and trillions of microbes in your body that help you do things like digest your food, support your immune system and your health, and regulate hormones. So they actually thrive on that fiber and the variety of micronutrients that we just talked about. So these are the basics. Okay. So I promised I wouldn't get too deep. Hopefully that was okay for you. But this is the starting point of where I want to go with you today. And so when you know what your body is made of, it's a whole lot easier to figure out what it needs and how to fuel it and get that energy back that you've been missing out on. All right. So we covered what it's made of. We're going to talk about something real first before we get any deeper. This part is kind of hard, and that's food addiction. And listen, that sounds like a really heavy word, but I want to be honest about it. It's really hard to not be addicted to food these days. So if you're human, chances are you're addicted to something because we're surrounded by hyper processed and sugar packed comfort food 24/7. It's designed to literally light up those pleasure centers in your brain and make you want more. You could be full and still have a hunger pain for more of whatever it is that you're addicted to. So if you've ever felt like that food has a grip on you, you're not weak, you're just human. It's actually designed that way on purpose to sabotage you so they can make more money. And so I want you to hear this from me right here. I'm not here to tell you to give up on all of those and go on a strict detox. I'm not about punishing your body or shaming you into making better choices. I have a much better way that I ended up having to use for myself. And I'm here to offer you that different way. There's freedom because it's gentle. It's a rhythm that's totally doable. It actually starts to shift those cravings without the stress and restriction of them. And it's even easy to do for a busy lifestyle. Okay. Here's what I call it. I call it fuel first, treat later. And I'm going to explain what that means, but here's how it works. Every meal, when you sit down to eat, I want you to start by giving it what it needs first. So that water, that protein, those fats, that fiber, right? All the things that are going to nourish your cells, your gut, your brain, all of that, right? Before you reach anything that's considered a treat. So that treat, I'm not talking about just sweet things. It could be salty things, anything that you're craving, okay? What happens in this particular situation is kind of magical because when your body is satisfied, it's full, your blood sugar has been stabilized, you naturally will want less of that treat. And that stuff that was actually controlling to you before, that mind over matter became really complicated to resist, it no longer is a problem. So if you still want the treat, you can have it, but chances are you'll want less of it because you're already full. Your body already has all the nutrients it needs. Okay. And so you're also going to feel in control again. And here's why that actually works for a long-term plan, because if you have tried other diets and they never worked, this might actually work for you. And here's why. You're not fighting yourself. You're not triggering stress, sending cortisol through your system, by forcing your body into deprivation. So it's kind of like the withdrawals of the food addiction, right? You're not pushing yourself into that withdrawal system. Those hard, fast, all or nothing diets, they keep your brain and hormones in that fight, flight, survival mode. And you're pushing, and you're pushing, and eventually you crash. Okay. But this rhythm, it brings your nervous system back into a peaceful and restful place. It gives your body what it needs first. And then it creates space for your mindset and your cravings to catch up. So you don't even have to have willpower here. And this is the missing piece on a lot of diets out there. And so that's why I'm really thrilled to be able to sharing it with you. You don't even have to tell yourself anymore, you can't have it. You just don't want it. And that's where the peace lives. And now let's go ahead and talk about something happening inside of your body every single day, something that affects your energy, your sleep, your cravings, even your mood, and that's your glucose. And I'm not talking about diabetes. I'm actually just talking about how your system rises and falls every time you eat food. Okay, so now here's what most people don't realize about this is it doesn't take candy or cake or anything sugary to spike your blood sugar. And it can be something as simple as a banana, but here's what's wild. In my case, it was tomatoes and bell peppers. So when your blood sugar spikes and crashes, that's when you start to feel the symptoms of like drained in the afternoon, you're hangry out of nowhere, maybe unable to focus or feel foggy in the brain, craving sugar again, even after you just ate. This is all symptoms that feel normal after you've had this glucose experience. So here's what happens when your blood sugar crashes, your body sees it as a threat. Okay. So it sends out cortisol. That's your stress hormone. And it tries to bring everything back into homeostasis and into balance. And then that means you're not just tired, but you're wired. And so then by the time you get that spike and that crash, and especially if it happens at dinner time, right before you go to bed, your cortisol, it's still working overtime. So that's going to make it harder to fall asleep, or possibly you'll fall asleep, but harder to stay asleep. And so over time, those swings, they wear you down, they burn you out, they make you overwhelmed, they mess with your hormones, your mental clarity, your mood, and they speed up your biological aging process. So you may be, 43 years old, but feel like you're 58 because of the biological aging process. But here's the good news, okay? You don't have to cut out sugar completely, right? You just need to slow down the spikes. And so that's why I always say, like, fuel first, treat later. And so start your meals out with that fiber, the protein, the fat, and hydration. Don't forget about hydration. That gives your body the tools it needs to process the food in a steady manner, keeping that glucose spike more steady. And then if you still want the treat, you can have it, right? But your body, it's not going to panic. You'll feel so much better and rested and peaceful afterward. The experience will feel so natural and real to you that it will be able to come an everyday process and rhythm and occurrence. So this is how we start taking care of our bodies at the root. Okay. It's not loud. It's not extreme. It's not this thing that you get to go and compare notes with your friend who's on a diet, right? It's just this quiet shift, and it can change everything. So when you sit down to have dinner with friends, you no longer have to say, okay, I can't have this, and this. So we have to pick a restaurant that has that, and that, right? You actually can feel normal, remove shame. Your conversations don't have to revolve around all of these things, and you get to just live your life in a beautiful way. Okay. So here's what I want you to take away from this conversation today. You don't need another complicated food plan. We already, as women, already overcomplicate things. You don't need to overhaul your entire kitchen, start some huge diet on Monday, pick a long weekend where you can clean out all your cabinets. Nope, that's not how this works. You just need to start giving your body what it's designed to run on. A little more fuel, a little less fight. Okay. And the best part, this works for busy people. So that's me, right? So when you're juggling a million of things and you don't have time to overthink and plan and prepare and pack and do all the stuff, you don't have to worry about that with this, because this is not about being perfect. It's about building a small, consistent, steady rhythm that's actually going to support you for a lifetime. And so here's what I hope you can do this week. Start your meals with the protein, the fiber, the fats, the water, right? Before reaching for anything else. And then I want you to slow down and notice how you feel. I'm not talking about like how you feel with your weight or anything. I'm just talking about just like how do you feel? Does it feel like energy? Did your mitochondria get fed with these building blocks of your life, right? I want you just to be curious about it and process through that. And if this is something that you want to go deeper with and need help with, I'm right here to help you. You can email me for one-on-one coaching support at Michelle Day Rose. I'd be happy to start that conversation with you. But make sure that you go download the workbook for this week in the Making Life Beautiful Again Facebook group. It's going to help you process out how to start this. But I don't want you to feel like you have to figure this out alone. And over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about this. And next week, we're going to talk about how to eat with trust again, rebuilding your relationship with food after diet culture. So until then, give yourself some grace. Your body has worked hard. Drink some water and keep doing all the things that make your life beautiful again. We'll see you next week.